for me to come up with a list of frustrations in leading rehearsals. It took like 5 minutes. So I just want to go through, I came up with a list of 15 things in like 5 minutes. I'm going to go through them, and I want you to raise your hand if this is something you've experienced. So people show up late to rehearsals. Anyone? You ever experienced that? Okay. We're going through a list of frustrating pain points for rehearsals. First one, we're raising our hands if we've experienced it. People showing up late for rehearsals. Next one, people showing up unprepared. Some people are actually learning the song for the first time in rehearsals. Yeah. Okay. The band gets restless while vocals are working on parts or blending. Right? Rehearsals end up going long. People get tired and annoyed. It feels like the leader lacks a vision for the rehearsal and is just making it up as they go. And who are you? And I am the leader that sometimes has been there before, right? How many of you lead rehearsals regularly? Okay, and then some of you are part of a team that are under somebody else who's leading regularly. Yeah. Either way, it's fine. This is good. Not enough people can make it to rehearsal, so it's hard to work on the music. Sometimes, yeah. Less skilled musicians hurt the overall musicianship. Right? You know what you want from the musicians, but you don't know how to communicate what you want to the person playing the instrument. Stage setup and technology issues cut into rehearsal time. So frustrating when things just aren't working. Where was I? There we go. The leader doesn't have a clear vision for transitions. Yeah? You feel like you're just playing songs versus leading powerful moments when you're leading. People can't hear what they need to hear to play well. Monitors are bad. That's gotten a lot better thanks to in-ears, but yeah, that's been frustrating before. Tempo is subjective and frustrating. You're just not playing tight together. Let me ask you, how many of you play to a click? Okay, so thankfully that solved that issue because time is objective now. If you don't, I'd encourage you to consider doing that. But yeah, man, that was pre-click. That was so frustrating. Volunteers may not feel equally valued. You have some volunteers that just are frustrated because they don't feel valued by you or by the team. There's not enough spiritual preparation. You spend most of your time on logistical things. Yeah. All right. That was a list of 15. I could have gone on and on and on. But as Chris mentioned, my name is Jon. I've been a worship pastor for almost 30 years, and I have made every mistake in the book. This was an easy list because I have experienced all these things and led into them. And over the years, I have learned painfully how to mostly eliminate or get rid of most of these frustrations. The rehearsal is so important because it's your primary time that you're spending with your team. Now, hopefully, you know each other outside of it. Maybe you do team nights, something like that. But hour for hour, you're leading a service, but the rehearsal is the time that you're together and where a lot of the planning comes in with the implementation. So, the stakes are high in leading a rehearsal well, because if you don't lead a rehearsal well, team members are going to get frustrated, and typically you will lose your best players due to frustrations of not leading well, and your least good players are the ones that stick around. So if you want to lead a team of volunteers that is continually growing, getting better, and you're keeping your best people for years and years and years, learning to lead a rehearsal is really important. The stakes are high. So let's dive into potential growth edges to lead rehearsals better. By the way, I'm going to dump a whole bunch of content on you. so you have notes and things like that. Don't feel like you need to try to implement everything at once, right? This is something that can take time. And if you're not the primary leader, you can maybe talk to your leader about just one frustration that you're having and come with a solution. Hey, what if we were to try to implement this to help it get better? So the first category is under the category of leadership. And the first write-in is communicate expectations. So one of the most important things in leading is communicating expectations. So the analogy I love is the difference between the high jump and the limbo. Okay, a high jump, you start with a bar at a level that most people can clear. And then you're progressively getting the bar a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. So the bar is going to continually go up. If you pick realistic expectations, my experience is that most, if not all, of your volunteers will raise their capacity to meet expectations. So if you have clear, loving, firm, kind expectations, most volunteers will raise to them. On the flip side, the limbo is low, and it feels like the bar, well, limbo bars do just keep lowering and lowering and lowering, right? If you don't have expectations, you don't communicate them, you don't enforce them, the natural entropy is things on the team will just kind of keep getting worse and worse. So we're thinking high jump, we're not thinking limbo. So, the expectations you communicate, they're not random. You root your expectation in team values. So what expectations are you going to communicate? They're going to be rooted in team values. So one of the first values, actually, when I come in, so I've been a worship pastor at 3 different churches. This last church, by the time I finally figured out some of this stuff, as a new worship pastor at this last church, the first value that I communicated, I don't give everybody all my values all at once, first value I communicated was love. Okay, 1 Corinthians 14:1 in the NLT says, let love be your highest goal. Right, that's after 1 Corinthians 13 that says, man, if you can move mountains, if you have prophecy, if you can fathom all wisdom, and you don't have love, it's nothing. And then it ends this whole chapter on love with let love be your highest goal. So we can have a lot of goals in the worship ministry, but if our highest one isn't love, everything we do is going to be meaningless. So my first value I give is the value of love. I root it in that verse, let love be your highest goal. If we're only going to get one thing right, it's going to be love. How we love each other, how we love the congregation, how we love the Lord. If I can only get one thing right, I want to get love right. How I love my team, how I love my church, how I love Jesus. Then I define love practically. Okay? It is unloving to show up late for a rehearsal when everybody else on the team shows up on time. This is one way that we love each other. We love each other by prioritizing the relationship and by showing up on time. Everybody can show up on time. You just have to prioritize getting there even early. Another one, it is unloving to show up to rehearsal unprepared when everybody else put in the work to show up prepared. So part of my expectations I communicate is we as a team are going to show up prepared. We're going to learn the song ahead of time, and we're going to show up on time. Why? Because this is part of how we love each other. Right? So that's what it looks like to communicate clear expectations, but that's not enough. Now you have to hold people to the expectation. So if you say, this is how we love each other, then as the primary culture builder, the team leader, then if people are showing up, if somebody shows up late, what do I do, especially early on? I just established the value. Now I have to hold it. So somebody shows up late. I won't make a big deal of it when they're showing up with the team. I'll pull them aside later and say, after rehearsal, be like, hey, I know you were probably, and by the way, I do say, if you're running late from work, like if it's a midweek practice, if you're running late for work, something goes on, it's okay, just text me so I know that you're going to be 5 minutes late. I have team members texting me, like, I'm going to be 2 minutes late, I'm sorry. So it's like, because they know it's the value and they want to uphold it, right? So you have to lovingly call people on it. And once you establish it, you lovingly call people on it. You just, every time, you don't let them get away with it. You have to do that a lot early on. Then people begin, over time, showing up on time and showing up prepared. Man, rehearsals are amazing when everyone's on time and prepared. That's a big deal. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How do you define the difference between call time and start time? Because there's a difference. Because
yes.
a guitar player shows up, they have 20 minutes that they need to put
yes.
their pedal board on and to check their tone and do all that stuff.
Yes.
How do you? Because it was I'm showing up on time.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're
No.
Not ready.
So I define call time. I mean, it's kind of a theater term, but as the downbeat. The click starts at your start time, right? So some people, like a vocalist, could show up, 30 seconds, enough to grab their mic and turn on their pack, and they're ready to go. A guitar player has to show up early. So it's not okay if a guitar player shows up on time, it's downbeat. You're ready to play, right? So even if they're there 5 minutes early, but it takes 15, it's like, no, because everybody's standing around waiting. By the way, I will start rehearsal without people. I do it. So when I say downbeats at a time, downbeats at a time. And then they have to do the walk of shame while the song's going. We don't wait for people. Because we're starting. If I say we're starting at a time, we start at a time, right? So then they come in while the band's going or whatever, and then it's the nonverbal, it's like, no, we're going, right? And then I'll talk to him afterwards. Another expectation that I'll communicate, and this one, is a bit of a dynamic expectation. So different seasons, I'll do it differently, but you have to be at rehearsal in order to play Sunday, right? So when I'm trying to establish a culture of people not caring about rehearsal, then I will be like, if you're not at rehearsal, you can't play Sunday, no exceptions, right? Now, once the team is all in on rehearsals, they prioritize it, and it's something, out, I don't know. That's one that I'm not always 100% on, but that's another expectation that you can communicate. If people aren't prioritizing it, you can draw hard lines on that.
So an example, I have somebody who, I'm just wondering if you do this, I have somebody who I have a specific, he always shows up on Sunday prepared, but Thursday evenings he can't do his work schedule.
Yeah.
And I worked with him and established okay, you have to be prepared Sunday, and he always is.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you ever have exceptions like that?
Yes.
Or?
So in some seasons of ministry, I would say no. And in other ones, I would say yes. So currently, I have one guy who's a police officer. He always works the night shift, and he can't make it to rehearsal. He is my most faithful volunteer. He was a sound guy. He gets off shift. He'll get 2 hours of sleep, and then he shows up and runs sound, and he does it all the time. Not every week, but and he's consistent. He's whatever you need me to do. He has the best heart, the best servant thing. And I'm not struggling with the culture of people not valuing it. So just after 3 years of being there, kind of establishing the culture, I'm just you know what? I want to value. You've got such a great heart. You really want to do this role. I want to value that and I made an exception for him. So I think it depends on, in some seasons I've said no because of what I'm going after with the culture of the team. And in other seasons I've said yes because I'm not trying to fix a problem. Yeah. So it's kind of, however, I never falter on showing up on time and prepared. But who has to be there? Yeah, sometimes a judgment call. Okay. The next thing is have a vision for the service and the rehearsal. in leadership, we got to have a vision for what we're doing. We're not just playing songs or singing songs. We have a vision for the moments that you want to create in the service. Write that down. Have a vision for the moments you want to create in the service. And then you're going to bring that clear vision to rehearsal. And so you're going to be able to work on a vision for how you're leading, not just on rehearsing the songs. Okay, so here are some examples of moments that you might want to create. Okay, there's opening moments. You're thinking about, okay, how do I open a service? I'm not just going to start with a song. Is there anything I can do creative to create a moment that creates welcome? So like when I host people at my house, I have an opening moment planned out. People come in, I give them a hug, I have a drink fridge that's stacked full of drinks, and I pull them over there, and I'm like, anything you want, as much as you want, here's the drink fridge, go for it, right? Or I'll make them a coffee or something like that. Part of my opening moment when people come into my house is hospitality that's giving something, helping them feel comfortable. Craft an opening moment. Another one is fun or joyful moments. How do you intentionally create fun moments for the church or joyful moments? Another one is vertical worship moments. How do you just create these moments where you're just 100% soaking in the glory of who God is and what he's done, and you're releasing worship and faith in the church? Another one is a reflective moment, silence, or a prayerful moment, or an inspiring moment. Don't think about leading songs, think about creating moments, and then you come into the rehearsal with moments. So 2 examples of, in the last couple months, moments that I wanted to create. One of the things that I have been grieved about is the amount of division that has been in the world, but in the church specifically. So I want to create just this moment of prayerful unity in the church. So I don't know if you've seen the song "The Church," but the chorus is just so good with that. It's praise the Father, praise the Son, Holy Spirit, make us one. Every nation, tribe, and tongue, this is our cry, your kingdom come, right? That's the chorus. The verses get a little bit wordy, so I'm not doing the whole song, but I'm like, man, I just want to craft. So I think I was singing another song about the Trinity, and then the chorus has the Trinity in it, so I just grabbed this, and I wanted to create a moment of prayerful cry for unity in the church around the chorus, right? So that was the vision for that, and then I'm leading the team through how we're going to do that together. Another example recently was we did beach baptisms. Not everyone got out to the beach, so I took my phone and I just recorded people going in and out of the water. And then it was actually, we had just done the chorus of that song the week before, and I was thinking, oh man, the bridge of that is killer. It's like, mothers, fathers, under the banner of your name, brothers, sisters. You know, it's like this, and it just gets big. And so did the bridge, got him used to it, and then while we kept singing it, the baptism show up on the screen. And I'm telling you, there wasn't, I'm seeing people just do this. It's like, oh, so beautiful, like wiping tears away, right? So I'm not just thinking, I'm thinking creating moments in the service, but then pulling off that moment, a lot of the rehearsal was spent, okay, how are we going to do the arrangement and make this powerful to create a moment in the church? So, and then after that, the bridge, you drop back into the chorus of praise and unity, and it crushed. So the point is, craft a moment. The band is going to need to do something to support that moment that you create, whether it's a moment of reflection or inspiration or whatever, an opening moment. What does the band do to support it? And then you're leading with vision. The next thing, have a vision for transitions. A vision for transitions. So other than moments, so think moments and then think transitions. So other than moments, transitions are the most important part of the set because they're going to be the thing that derails or pulls people out of worship more than anything else. So when I lead a rehearsal, it is not uncommon for me to just run a song once from beginning to end, and that's it. Why? Because everybody shows up prepared. They know their part. Now, if it's a new song they've never done before, we'll probably run the song multiple times. But I will spend a lot of the time on transitions and on moments, right? So we run a song once, and then I'll just turn around and be like, hey, does anyone have any questions, want to go over anything in the song again? Maybe they stumbled, you want to work on a transition in the bridge or whatever, but you can do that. But I would say I run a transition 5 times or more to get it right. I spend a lot of time on transitions, especially when I'm doing a transition connected to a moment. Like, because I'm not thinking songs, I'm thinking moments. A lot of times I just grab choruses of songs to create a moment. And then it's like, how do you get into that chorus from another thing that works perfectly in a powerful, dynamic way? And I'll work on that transition over and over and over again until it just comes together. Isaac.
What do you do in those moments? How do you do it, like with click and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like if you're like, and like we use click and track, so like
Yes.
tracks are like they're flexible, so I can move things around, but they have to, like it has to be planned
Yes.
ahead of time.
So it's different every time. So click and tracks are a tool. So they don't own me, I own them, right? So when the tool serves the moment, I will still use it. So if like I'm in the same tempo, which sometimes I'll do, maybe the click will continue on. It kind of gets me into my next thing. That's a good question because that leads right into what I was going to say next. To plan and practice spontaneity as a team. Okay, so spontaneity is really, some people this may be different, but in my world, spontaneity is never truly spontaneous, right? It's planned spontaneity. So what I'll do with my team is I'll be like, okay, in this moment, there are just say 2 different things that I might do. We might continue on, on the song, or we might just pull back. And a lot of times I'll use my position on the mic as a direction for which way we're going. If I stay on the mic, we're either done with the song or we're, gonna do whatever. If I pull back from the mic, I want you guys to loop the chorus and just keep going with that. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might pray, I might do this or that, be watching me. You kind of give them a roadmap of options of things that you might do. So you're planning to feel the room and react to what the Spirit of God is in the room. But you've been praying into that moment, you've been thinking about that moment, and you have a roadmap to have freedom that your band knows something's coming and it's probably going to be at this point. A lot of times I'll just kill the click and the track altogether. So I'm never a slave to the click. It's like, because we play to the click all the time, tempo's pretty good, or I'll have the drums do a transition or something, or I'll just be like, everybody out, it's just me in the transition. We're going to pull it down, and then I want you to build it around, and then the tempo, rather than a click, goes from me to the drum when the drummer comes in.
Do you use tracks?
I do, yeah. I don't use tracks all the time, though. I use it more upbeat songs or more powerful songs, or, I'd say 3/4 of what I use has some sort of track in it. But to me, click is more important than track, generally speaking. So the more prepared you are with things like this, the easier rehearsals going to go. I would just say too, rehearsals I lead are probably just about an hour. And that's with everything from prayer time and spiritual to everything. Because people pretty much know the songs, we run through it, then I go over the specific moments and transitions that we're trying to create. So, and the more you do this, the higher impact not only rehearsals will be, but you're creating more high impact services, right? When you come in with a vision for what you're trying to do in the service, then it not only helps your rehearsals go better, but as you lead the church, as your rehearsal goes, so goes what you're doing in the service and the impact that you have with your church. And then if, like, as they're leading, it's a high impact, they're leading high impact moments in the service, your volunteers are going to love serving on that team. Like, it's just, what's better? I mean, literally, what is better in this life than leading a room through of engaged worshipers exalting the name of Jesus? Like, that's my favorite thing on earth. It's amazing. Okay, the next thing is bring spiritual leadership into rehearsal. So that was under vision, communicating expectations, having vision, and then bringing spiritual leadership into rehearsals. Pray together. Here's the thing. Realize that you are 100% dependent on God for everything that your heart longs for most in the services. Everything you want to see most in the services, you are 100% reliant on God to make happen. So don't just work on logistics. Pray together as a team. Some things that I pray for when we come to rehearsals, I'll see if anybody wants prayer in the team. Usually praying for each other is a great thing. But then we'll pray into what we want to see God do in the service. We'll pray into the moments that we're trying to create. We're praying for the church and for a worship culture to be to grow. Like, you never stop growing the worship culture of a church because it's never quite like heaven here on earth. So there's always more room to grow. So we're praying that a spirit of worship would grow in the church. I always pray for gratitude that we get to do this together. Lord, thank you that you've created us a family and a team, and thank you for the relationships around this circle and how much we love each other and that we get to worship you together in community. I'm always praying gratitude for the members of the team and that we get to do this together. Praying for your relationships. So when I come to rehearsal, the first thing I do on a midweek rehearsal is I pray at the beginning of rehearsal at 7. Our rehearsal's at 7. We just pray right on time. We start on time. Sunday mornings, I start with the downbeat, and then we pray after our rehearsal, because then we kind of then we do a production meeting with everybody in the service, and we pray in that context. Be a pastor to your team members. Pray for them. Know what's going on in their life. Ask about them. Love the people on your team more than the music. Love the people on your team more than your mission. I don't know that I would have always said that, but I'm saying that now, because if you fail at love, like I said before, you fail at everything. If you accomplish your mission as a church or as a team, but you did so neglecting love, Jesus will not be pleased with it. He just won't. It's meaningless to him. People are the treasure of the kingdom. Love people more than the music. Without love, your mission doesn't matter. Without love, your worship is meaningless to God. Spend time praying for your team outside of rehearsals. A lot of times, I'll just, not only, I would say my prayer life has made more of a difference for my worship leading than anything else. Praying, sing your prayers to the Lord over your team. Pray for them by name and just sing out your prayers. Pray, walk your church and pray over the seats of the people who are going to come. Think about, people basically sit in the same place. You know who's there and where they sit. Just walk your church and stand at where they stand and pray over your people. And pray that God would minister to them in the service and through worship. So spiritually lead your team. Bring spiritual leadership and pastoring into rehearsal. And then it'll spill out into the church. Okay, next one, number 2. Here's some musicianship and logistics. One of the things I do is I do a separate vocal practice. I would encourage all of you to do this because harmonies are not easy to practice on your own at home, especially when the song is in a different key that you send out and you don't know who's singing what harmonies on your team. It's like, oh, what part do I have? So I always take 30 minutes before rehearsal. I get our vocals together and I run the songs. We go over when not to sing. It's like, I don't want you to sing here, and then how are we going to use the vocals to layer the dynamics? We go over who's singing what part. So it's like, okay, you got the high part, I got the low part, whatever. We go over blending together. We just sit, we're off the stage, so we're not distracted when the team comes to set up, when the electric guitar players set up. We're just in a circle with my acoustic guitar, and we help figure out the parts ahead of time. Now, if you're not good at doing parts, find somebody on your team and delegate it to them and start learning. But learning to sing harmony, for me, happened best at vocal practice, singing together. Like, I kind of got it. I first learned with country music playing on the radio. I'm like, okay, if you don't know how to sing harmony, like, listen to country music, and because there's a lot of, at least there used to be, I don't know, there's a lot of harmonies in there, and say you have to sing, but you can't sing the melody. And then you just start trying to hear another harmony, and then you just keep doing it. Eventually, one day it'll click. But I got really good at it when, doing vocal practices, sitting around. I wasn't the best person at harmony for a long time doing that, and then eventually I was, just from doing it over and over and over again. So, yeah, we work on timing and phrasing as well. It's like, then when we hit rehearsal, the vocals are dialed in, and the band's never frustrated because I hardly ever have to stop the rehearsal for the vocals anymore because we've already done it ahead of time. Next one, learn how to communicate what you want with each instrument, even if you don't play them. So that's the communicates to fill in there. So you don't have to play each instrument to learn how to communicate with them. The number one instrument I communicate with is the drummer. So why is that? Well, because they're the biggest instrument on stage, and the drummer is the leader of the band. You're not the leader of the band as the worship leader, the drummer is. The drummer drives the song, they drive the dynamics, they keep everyone together. So in communicating with the drummer, there's two things that I'll do. Let me say that again. There's two things I listen to, okay? The kick and the snare are the primary drums that establish the groove and the feel of the song. I know in modern worship there's a lot of tom stuff and stuff, so it's not 100%. But when a drummer isn't grabbing the right feel, I will pull up the song and I'll just listen to kick and snare and what's going on in kick and snare, right? And then I'll be like, hey, can you just play this? Kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, I can play that. And then all of a sudden the groove feels right because they're playing the right groove. The other thing is I'll focus most out of the two, I'll focus most on the kick drum. So like when we were doing the baptism thing with the bridge of the church, the bridge was so crazy, like on the album, it's so good. And I'm like, what are they doing? And so it's like the first time through the bridge, it was like quarter notes on the kick, 4 on the floor, right? And then it went to 8th note kicks. And then, it released into the chorus. So I'm like, man, when we get to this bridge, I want you to do quarter note kicks here. I want you to transition to 8th note kicks here. And then we just want to put pressure on the audience. Like, don't let up. Like when the baptisms start going, normally it goes into the chorus, but I'm like, no, we're going to keep singing the bridge while people are coming in and out. And we're just going to go for it. Keep that 8th note kick going over and over and over again so we don't let up. And then I built the baptisms to be exactly the right amount of time. So when we're done and then it drops into the chorus, then all the pressure releases and it goes into the normal beat, right? So I taught kick drum what I want because the kick drum is going to create dynamics most. So you want to create dynamics, listen to what the kick drum is doing and ask the drummer. I'd say more than anything else, my communication with the team is about the drummer's kick drum and what are they doing with the kick drum. So that's how to communicate with the drummer. If it doesn't feel right, listen to the kick snare, find the groove, and then ask the drummer just to do that. And if you're trying to create dynamics, largely ask about the kick drum. So in general, if you're not high on musicianship, at least know what whole notes are, which takes up the whole measure, half notes, half the measure, eighth notes, or quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes, and use those to communicate with musicianships, especially if you have a lower skill level, either lower skill level or real high skill level. Sometimes the higher skill level, they just play way too much, and you're just like, hey, can you simplify it? Or the lower people, they don't really know what they're doing. So bass players who aren't good yet, like I on-ramp a lot of bass players, I tell them, okay, I'm sorry, it's not fair, but the bass player can't hit a wrong note ever. Because if the bass player hits a wrong note, everything falls apart. It's like, I can make a mistake on the chord with a guitar player, quickly adjust, and it's no big deal. The bass player does that, forget about it. So with the bass player, I'm like, there's two things I want. I want you to, A, hit the right note when the chord changes, and B, I just want you to do whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and so it's like, and just tell them here, just hit a whole note. Here, just transition. As you build dynamics, you're shortening the amount of time, right? So you can take, you take beginners who, instead of trying to play crazy and they just start messing up, like hurting the mix, if you can simplify what they're doing down just to whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes to build dynamics and tell them when, and just focus on changing the chord, then all of a sudden they're going to be serving the song and the dynamics rather than trying to do all this crazy stuff that's on the album bad and then messing it up. So communicating, think, simplifying, or another thing, like some of the best bass players I know they're just doing way too much. It's like, hey, can you just rein it back? Just give me whole notes here. Just give me quarter notes here. Another thing, communicating with the band, know who the mule of the song is, the burden of beast, the one who's driving the song. It's either typically a guitar player or a keyboard player. And then create space for that person to do their thing. So guitar doesn't have to drive every song. Keyboard doesn't have to drive each song. Know who's doing it, who's driving the music, and then let them do that. Okay, technology. I'm running out of time, so I want to move quickly here, but just a couple things about technology. Number one, I always have the stage set up earlier in the day. So, I know that everything is set up. I know that everything's working properly earlier in the day so that, like, when I come that evening, everything's done.
Do you sound check each line?
I don't sound check each line because we don't have a lot of tear down and rebuilding of our system. It stays pretty much the same, but if I did, I probably would. Get good at troubleshooting too. If you're not good at troubleshooting, AI is a great way. Like I use AI, I am good at troubleshooting, but I still use AI every once in a while when there's something that I'm just like, man, what is going on here? Get like ChatGPT and use that to help you. But yeah, get good at troubleshooting, looking for just key things. It's like, is the input hitting the LED on the board? If it is, your input's okay, and the issue's on the outside. And then you just troubleshooting, you just follow, primary source every step of the way, all the way until it hits the board. It's just like, I think of water when I think of electricity. It's like, where's the water flow? What is it hitting, and what could be wrong with it? So get good at troubleshooting. I always show up to practice 30 minutes early myself, and because I expect something to go wrong. I expect the world to fall apart because Satan hates what we do. I don't know. I'm not going to blame everything on him, but and then if it doesn't go wrong, I've got an extra 20 minutes to just like warm up my heart with worship. I just lead myself in worship. I warm up the room. I'm there to greet every single person when they come in. That's another thing, man. Celebrate every single person. Oh, this gets me into relational growth. Okay, this is our third thing, relational growth. Always greet every single person by name when they walk in and be excited to see them. It's like as if every person who walks in is an old friend you haven't seen in a decade. Like just, oh, dude, it's great to see you. I'm glad you're here, right? I guess that's my personality, but however it works for yours, greet everybody. Celebrate each other constantly. Celebrate new people. Like, we just recently brought on I've been bringing in a lot of high schoolers recently, especially in the tech team, but some on the worship team too. And it's like, every time somebody comes in, it's like, and it's true, I literally have been praying that we get another sound person, and then a high schooler says yes, and I'm like, dude, I want you to know you are an answer to prayer. Like, we've been praying for you, and you saying yes is like God's provision and God's gift to this team. Thank you so much for serving. And then you celebrate everyone. Don't hold back with love and joy relationally. Just love people. People are the greatest treasure in the kingdom. People are the treasure of your ministry. Act like it. Just love people. Make sure there's no unresolved relational issues on the team. Do the hard work. Lean in. If there's any tension or relational issues, just dive right in. Call it out. Just say it. Just say, man, are you doing okay? You don't seem like yourself. Or I don't know what it is, but just figure it out. But don't let unresolved things go. Make sure all of your team feels equally valued. Now, they may not have the same role, and not everybody gets what they want when they serve with me. I don't have time to unpack it, but the parable of the talents is another value I lead my worship ministry by. So people, like those who have been faithful with what they have been given are given more. And those who aren't, it says what little they have will be taken from them. That's pretty harsh. But so I reward people living out our values. I reward people doing the work. I reward growth. I reward servanthood. So not everybody has the same role, but everybody needs to feel valued and loved in the role that they are and celebrated. Okay, that is my time. I want to do this real quick.
We actually have more time. The 45 minutes is really just for your content, and the rest is for Q&A. Or
Okay. So just before we do Q&A, because you've been asking questions as we've gone, I want to give you 7 things that I've changed my mind on in the worship ministry. Things that I used to think that I no longer think. And then we're going to do, this is like bonus content, right? Just for fun. And then we're going to do any question and answers that you have. So first thing I used to think that I no longer think. I used to think conflict is bad. I used to get this deep, bad feeling in my gut every time I needed to engage in conflict, and I hated it. Okay? Now, I see conflict as an opportunity for growth in others and myself. And I love growth. So I want to embrace growth. And just flipping it from, oh man, I used to want to be liked by people so much more than I wanted to love them and help them grow. And I think that's where the gut thing came from. But now I just love people and want to help them grow so much. When there's conflict, it's an opportunity for growth. When you just sit down loving and just talk about something, let's figure this out. It's not the end of the world. Okay, next. I used to believe excellence was one of the most important qualities in leading worship. Now, excellence is still a value. Don't get that wrong. But now I believe dependence on the Spirit is the most important thing. Everything we want in worship, we're dependent for God to do. I think prayer is more important than, all the logistical things. I still value excellence, but I value dependence on the Spirit more. All right. I used to think spontaneous worship was truly spontaneous, and we talked about that. Now, I think great spontaneous moments are built on a foundation of a lot of preparation for the set, your heart, and the whole of the work that you've done ahead of time surrendered to the Spirit. So when you come in with preparation, when you come in with prayer and just your heart being right with the Lord, trying to ask God, what do you want to do? Spontaneity is easy through preparation. But Yeah. And when you listen to other like big worship leaders who are amazing at it, it's the spontaneity that comes out usually comes from something in a devotional life or something that they've been listening to the Lord about. Okay. I used to think that I needed to find the cool new songs to be a good worship pastor. Now I think sometimes singing the old, outdated songs is more important because it helps the church come alive and worship. So, do I still sing new songs? Yeah. But, I mean, look at Tim Smith's set this morning. Everything was, I don't know, now he's old, I'm old, but like 2 decades more or something. You want to gauge what your church comes alive in worship with. When you lead a song, what are the people coming alive with? And new songs are great, but it takes a long time to get them. Because ultimately, you're trying to facilitate worship, not be cool, I hope. I used to think choosing music was about what I liked, trying to find songs that I like. Now, I'm asking the question, what does God want? What does God want to hear as people sing? What songs does God like? And that's a whole nother sermon that I could preach that I don't have time for, but it's a really important question. Next, I used to think God showed up when the band was crushing it. Now I think God shows up in my weakness and in my humility. The most powerful worship sets I have led, I have been truly broken. And I let a measure of my vulnerability come out in leading. And it shifted the whole atmosphere of the room. God's power is made perfect in our weakness, not in our strength. I used to think I needed to be loyal to a church. Now I think I need to be loyal to Christ. And you can substitute pastor for church if you want. I used to think I needed to be loyal to a pastor. Now I think I need to be loyal to Christ.